But there are things in there that are going to trip you up along the way if you don't understand what's running you and why.
Right.
Welcome to Wisdom on the Front Porch. Subscribe, ring the bell, like, and share the wisdom. Pull up a chair and join us with today's guest.
All right. Welcome to another great episode of Wisdom on the Front Porch. And today, Amy is with us, and we are going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about the business side of it, the non-business side, but you have to get it done. And then we're going to talk about the inside of you, because if you don't have it all together inside of you, it's not going to come out very pretty in the rest of it. So, Amy, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and you can tell everybody who you are, what you do, and more importantly, I want to know why you do what you do.
Oh, lovely. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for our conversation today. Like you said, we're going to get into a little bit of everything, but my favorite is the internal work because I deeply believe that that's always going to reflect outward in some way, shape, or form, whether you're chasing goals, chasing monetary success. Again, we talked about in the preamble how success is such a subjective word, and we deeply believe that. We believe at Next Level University, the company that I partner with, that everyone's version of success is different. And we believe in holistic success. And that's actually how I fell in love with the company that I now partner with. So, like you said, my name is Amy Lenius, and I partner with a company called Next Level University. Now, that's not where I started in my professional career. If we go far back, I actually started in a background of anatomy and physiology. And then I stepped into natural wellness from there. I got to start speaking on a lot of stages for natural women's health. And my keynote actually was called Holistic Healing for Your Hormones, but that all came from growing up really sick myself with a female related condition called endometriosis, my background in anatomy and physiology, discovering a love for natural wellness and the holistic aspect of that about it's not just your internal environment, it's your external environment as well. And it's not just your physical health, it's your mental health as well, your emotional health, and how they all go together. My healing journey taught me all of those things, that it's not just about one piece, it's about all of it and how it interacts together. And one day I heard these guys on a podcast, Next Level University, Kevin and Alan, and they were talking about holistic success. And I was like, oh, I love the combination of those two words. They're not just talking about chasing money, they're talking about chasing a fulfilling life and how we can be holistically successful because it's really hard nowadays to see someone making a pile of money but not having health or a good relationship. They've been divorced 6 times because they chase their wealth goals so amazingly, which is a wonderful skill to have, but it can affect the rest of your life. And then you see
Right.
also these amazing heart-driven people who have beautiful relationships but struggle to make money out in the world, out in the economy.
But
And
I
so
want
we
to ask
believe,
you a question
go ahead.
about something you said. You said chasing. We do chase success, but then you say they're chasing this holistic way. Are they really chasing or are they finding? Are they discovering? Are they
Ah,
walking through it?
that depends on the person.
There you go. That's
That
right.
depends on the person. The person who is chasing one aspect versus creating, growing, and cultivating, and it's very, very different. And I think right now we see a lot of outside in. We see a lot of, okay, chase this, be this,
Mhm.
perception this, and we hope it does something for the inside. But in reality, I mean, it's social world versus real world. If you can cultivate things in the real world, it's going to eventually show in the social world. But right now, there's so many people chasing social world status that they're not doing the internal work that needs to come along with it, or even the integrity or the authenticity that needs to be there for long-term success. And so it does depend on the person of
Yeah,
what they are doing.
absolutely. One of the things I found out, I'd never heard about mindset or any of those things. And so when I first started out, it was like, I'm just going, 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 being my happy little self. And then it's like, you kind of get to a point almost, I don't know if it's burnout, but it's like, wait a minute, I'm here and I'm doing all of this, but how come I'm not where I want to be? Are you looking at comparing yourself with others? Don't do that. That's not good. You can see where they're at and find out how they got there. There's nothing wrong with that. But if I think it's John Maxwell that talks about the cap. If you've only think this is where you're going to get, that's as far as you're going to get. You can't get any higher. And like you said, it comes from inside. What are those things you grew up with as a child? What did you learn? What did you always hear? And if there are things that are holding you back, you need to say, one, acknowledge it. Okay, so this is an issue I need to take care of. And you don't have to look at like an issue. It's just something that's there. And so you just need to retrain yourself. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but but there is a different way to think. You call it stinking thinking when you're always down on yourself and you're giving yourself a hard time. Why aren't I there? How come I didn't do this? Why did I do that? Why didn't I? And it's, yeah, we don't want stinking thinking. That's not good. Um, but going on to finding out, huh, I believe this about money because that's what my parents believed. That's the environment I grew up with. Well, I know that's not true, so let's change that. Or I grew up about people, strangers are bad. They're all bad. Well, if you think about it, you're a stranger to other people. Are you bad? I mean, come on. We need to look at both sides of the coin here. So we do have to be careful, um, you know, but we have to look at where is our thoughts coming from, or should be where are our thoughts coming from? Why are we afraid to take a step forward? And why are we afraid in any aspect of it? What's causing that fear? And I love that you point out that you've got to look at what's going on inside, because what's going on inside, no matter what happens, eventually it's going to come out. And is what's there, do you really want that out in the world? Um, and some people have learned to be pretty good at hiding it, but eventually it does come out and it hurts us. You're talking about the person that's been very successful at business, but they've been married 6 times, or they've lost connection with their kids or with their family, and and I don't know. I love my family. I can't imagine losing connection with them. But it is tough, and we have to know what's going on there. As Bob Proctor talks about the conscious and the subconscious. I think the first person that really made me aware of what I really heard about mindset, and all I can think of is Evan Carmichael. That was his name. I did a 5-day webinar with him. He goes, "What's the one thing you've heard all of your life?" And thought, well, that's easy. I'm not worthy. I'd heard that for years. I knew I was a great person. I knew it was fun to be around. I loved myself, but that was one thing I'd always heard. And I didn't realize how much that was keeping me from getting to the places that I want to go. When I went to New York for a book launch, it was absolutely amazing. I never thought I'd ever go. I grew up very small town. I never thought I'd ever go to New York, especially by myself, especially meeting people I didn't even know. I wasn't even sure where the hotel was, what it looked like, or if I was going the right direction or what was going to happen. But I get there, and as we're going through the different events, one night we're coming home, walking home because it's just such beautiful weather, and I see Carnegie Hall, and it's like amazing. I always wanted to play piano at Carnegie Hall because of my piano teacher from 6th grade. She was just amazing. She was old when she was teaching me, but when she was 13, she actually was going to become an apprentice to Tchaikovsky, who helped open Carnegie Hall. But the thought struck me, here I am. At that time, I was right about 60. Why haven't I ever played at Carnegie Hall? Why not? What was stopping me? And I couldn't answer it. So we went on through the evening and, got pictures of me there and talking to different people. And when I was getting ready for sleep that night, all of a sudden it hit me. That's for other people. That's not
Mm.
for you. That's not for us. That's for somebody else. And I didn't realize I had been carrying that with me all of my life. That's why I didn't ever fly on Concorde. I didn't ever fly on Pan Am. I didn't do some of the things that I always wanted to do. Of course, once they went out of business, I couldn't do it anymore. But it's like, you know, you hear about pipe dreams and stuff. Well, how do you know it's a pipe dream if you don't try to go after it and see what you can do? And I realized all these years that was holding me back, and that was kind of tough to get over. Um, and I wonder if it's still there a little bit, but we keep practicing and keep going on. But that's where I would come to you to learn how to do that, to get through this and be able to do those things that I wanted to do and realize I'm the only one holding me back.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I love all those stories. Thank you. That's so It's so common. You're not alone in that. Everyone's going to go through that in some way, shape, or form where we look back and been like, could I have made different choices? Could I have tried harder to do that thing? Where was the low self-worth? It sounds like from this lens, the low self-worth that was holding me back. It's because I believed I wasn't worthy of those things. Other people have something that I don't that makes them more special to achieve these things. Now, we all have different skills and different we're all different. Yes, there are things that people
Right.
have that I don't and skills, right? That is also true. However, how they got those skills is similar to how I can get those skills.
Right.
And
And most
that
of
is
them
a
can be learned. And we
oh,
don't realize
absolutely.
that. We think it's, oh, they're just gifted with that. And some people are gifted. Some people
Yes.
do amazing things. That's true. But most things can be learned. And we either don't realize it or we're too afraid to begin.
Or we
And
don't give ourselves enough time.
yes, that's
We don't give
true.
ourselves the grace of time. Things take time. And right now, we're in a society where it's instant gratification. If it doesn't happen within a week, then I must be doing it wrong or the thing itself sucks. But in
Yeah,
reality, you need to allow the compound effect to take place. You need to give it time. You need to give something enough time, energy, and effort to compound into something. And nowadays, I think that message is more important than ever to give yourself
yes,
time to do
yeah.
the thing and to keep getting better at the thing.
And I like that you started off talking about grace because we are so hard on ourselves and we don't give ourselves grace. We'll forgive other people. Don't worry about it. You made a mistake, no big deal. You learn from it and you go on. And it's like, oh, don't worry, it's okay, we'll get there. But when we talk to ourselves in here, it's like, I was in a Bible study, and one of the things that we learned was, what are the things you say to yourself? Would you say them to your best friend? And it's like, no way, we need to get to the point that, yeah, I'd tell her, go for it and keep going. But we are too hard on ourselves and we need to give ourselves grace. We give grace to other people all the time. We need to be that kind to ourselves.
Yeah, and again, it depends. If you have really high self-belief and really high self-worth, sometimes we do need to have those humbling moments. So it
Hmm.
very much depends on the personality, how you speak to yourself, whether it's positive or
Oh, yes.
negative. And again,
Yeah.
positive or negative is so subjective. It's all based on the goal. That's why I love goals. I love the idea of a
Yes,
goal because now everything you say, think, do, feel, believe, surround yourself with is either for the goal or against the goal.
that's true.
And it
Yeah.
gives you such an empowering lens to be discerning. So if you go back and you said, I want to play piano at this hall, and you went back and you were dedicated to doing that, everything would be either for or against that goal. Every action you
Absolutely.
took, every thought you had, right, even for the goals you currently have, the things you do, the things you say, the things all are for or against the goal. And when you can start making decisions through the lens of, I mean, even let's say a fitness goal. Okay, I'm ready to lose 10 pounds and build muscle mass and become more strong. Everything now is for that or against that. Going out for
Yeah.
dinner with friends, the choice of the meal you make. Did you work out today? Yes or no? All of that is either for or against the goal. And that can be, I love this because it's true across the board.
Oh,
Financial goals, relationship goals. I mean, even with your spouse, let's say, if you want to have a happy, healthy relationship, everything you do is either for or against that goal.
I love that you're saying that. And I want to remind people, don't be discouraged if you've been putting everything for the goal and for whatever reason it's not hitting. Think about this. It may not be the right time just yet. And timing is everything. Sometimes we have to kind of let things sit on the back burner because that stew is mixing together, all those flavors are coming together. And if you don't give it time on its own, it's just not going to be the same. And maybe something you tried this year, for whatever reason, you just didn't get the goal. Don't give up on yourself because maybe all those things you put into place are going to take time before action happens. And maybe the next year or the year after that, it's like, wow, I'm really glad I went ahead and did all that stuff I did because look what happened now. And if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be ready for this opportunity. So think of it all as preparation for your future.
Yes, that gift of time. But maybe it's not an action. Maybe all your actions are in alignment with the goal, but your beliefs are not.
Yes.
Like you said in the beginning, you believe this certain thing. Where did it come from? Is that belief even mine? You said Evan Carmichael. Evan Carmichael, what is something you've heard your whole life? We love Evan. So Kevin and Alan, the founders of Next Level University, the company that I work for, and the two amazing men that I work with, do a lot of work with Evan.
Oh,
Kevin actually got
nice.
to speak at he has this private thing where he gets certain people from his community
Mhm.
together every year. And Kevin got to go speak at that for Evan's high paying community and clients. And it was
That's
really fascinating to
wonderful.
see that. Yeah, they're doing great work in the world. And Evan's been one of their buddies through it, which has been really amazing. And so, what is it? What is one of those things that you have heard through your whole life? One of mine is be realistic.
Yes. Yeah.
Be realistic.
Yeah.
Well, what does that even mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
What does
My
that even mean? But
my
it's
daughter
something that
was
kind of keeps you suppressed.
it does. It absolutely does. My daughter had this vision of something she wanted to do, and a relative said to her, "Be realistic. It's just a pipe dream." And I thought, oh, that's got to be one of the worst things to say to somebody. Why would you destroy that passion, that vision, that dream that they have? And because what you're doing is holding them back. You know, maybe you can't see the vision, maybe you can't see it happening, but they can. And we're all so different. That's why some people can really make it go, and others are like, "Oh yeah, I never saw that aspect of it." That's makes sense now. It's perspective, and it was just so disheartening to hear my daughter say that she was told that, and I said, "No, it's not. This is your dream. If you want to do it, go do it." She hasn't done it yet, but she has taken steps to find out more of how to make it successful. So, so that's encouraging. Maybe she needed, it's easy to, go, what do they used to say? Put the cart ahead of the horse. You need the horse to pull the cart, but maybe she needed that just to hold back a little bit, not to hold back, but to make sure she has a plan that is created that's going to get her success in what she wants to do. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I was talking with someone, oh, be 3 years ago now. We were in this group together, and he goes, "Well, how much do you want to make every year?" And I just picked a number. It's just a number. Who cares? It's a number. It's something to look at, something to learn how to get to a goal. I gave the number, and he said that exact same thing. Be realistic. At your age, you're never going to get there because I'm this age and I haven't gotten there. And I thought, and I just read this in John Maxwell book, the cap. His cap was right there. He can't see that anybody else can get past that cap. My cap's up here, and it's like, yeah, I'm going for it. I was actually kind of mad at him saying that to me, and it's like, you know what? It's nice knowing you, but I'm doing it, and I am.
Yes.
I'm
And
doing it.
that's you gave two valuable examples of who is speaking into your life. Are they for the goal or are they against it?
Yes, yeah,
So, yes, it's so important that us as humans decide not to be the people who's going to squash someone's dream just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's not an understandable thing. Now, however, I don't think most people do that kind of work and want to become that kind of person because they don't make those choices or even have that higher consciousness to think that way. However, those people are everywhere. So, it's up
yeah,
to us to decide who is of influence to us and who isn't.
yeah,
Who gets the
absolutely.
who gets the absolute privilege of speaking into our life and who doesn't?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so important. important to become someone who has such high self-worth, such high self-belief, self-respect, and just strength to be able to discern this person doesn't get to speak into my life that way. You can say whatever you want, but it's actually not going to hinder me
Yeah.
whatsoever. That's going to just bounce off of me, and I'm not going to take that to heart. And so, people who are against the goal, of your big life goals and dreams, they need to be more distance from you. Now, that's a job that you have to do. I'm not saying cut these people out of your life because sometimes it's family members and they just don't have the capacity to understand. That's okay. So you
Absolutely.
have to decide, even just energetically, what level of influence they have over you and still manage your time around them. Because as much as we can consciously, you mentioned the subconscious and the conscious, we have conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious, which is even deeper. If you are spending time with people even who are against the goal, but you're consciously saying, you know what, it's okay. I don't have to listen to them. I don't have to act like them. I don't have to. Your subconscious and unconscious have a different idea. They
Mhm.
are affecting you regardless. We have something in our neurology called mirror neurons, and we will continue over time mirror people around us in our own way if we're strong enough, but
Yes.
we will that whole you become the average of the five people you spend the most time
I
with
was just
is
thinking about that.
very
Yeah.
sound. It's very sound. Usually those generic sayings are kind of like, well, what about this? This one's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Even if you're consciously saying, you know what, I don't have to think like them, act like them. If you're spending enough time with them, they are affecting you. So you do have to learn to be discerning of who is
Yeah.
speaking into your life and who is getting that time with you. And that can be really challenging. And it can take years to be able to do those kinds of things. But if you're already of that strength, take that next step to disassociate from those people. If you are not at that level, do the work you need to do to become the person who can do that.
Yes, absolutely. And even if it's your spouse, because your
Yes.
spouse may be afraid of what's going on. Are you going to be so successful that you're going to forget about them? You know, you still need to nurture people along the way. Or maybe your spouse is afraid that you're going to get into this and the money's just going to disappear, and there goes all of the savings and all the retirement and everything we always worked for. And they're legitimate concerns, you know. It's good to show the plan, and even at that, they may not be able to see what you can see. And you don't discount them saying, well, you just can't see what I see. I'm going to do it anyways. It's like, I'm sorry you can't see my vision, but I'd like to pursue this and let's take some safety measures along the way. Saying, you know, I only get this much every month to pursue this. Or, you know, one time I have this big expense, we'll just do that. Um, and include them on in the process. Or for some, don't include them. Because if they're always telling you what's wrong and saying, you know, sometimes they might be saying things that you already know, and they think they're the first person to tell you this, and you're like, why are you telling me this? You know, it's not like I don't know my business, but just let them talk. But it's hard to separate yourself from someone that close, you know, a parent, if you're younger, or if you're, you know, living in your home with your parents and you've got this at you constantly. um, you've got to make sure, like you said, get those five people around you that you can call on and say, look, I'm having a really tough time. I keep getting this negative energy thrown at me from my family, and I'm afraid I'm going to do what they're saying just because I don't know how to counteract it. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's one thing I found myself doing years ago, only I didn't recognize it at that. Now that I've understood it more, it's like, oh, that's why I did this. In fact, I just did a chapter in a book called Me versus Me, and it's about self-sabotage. And a family member had said something to me, and it's like all of a sudden I just started quitting everything. It's like, I can't take this anymore. I don't want to hear. And I realized, whoa, what am I doing? I know what they're saying is not true. I know that I am good. I am smart. I am able to learn. Why am I listening to that? More importantly, why am I destroying what I built? Now, it wasn't that person's fault that I did that. I'm the one who started taking things down. I'm the one who started to do that. So we have to look at our responsibility in it too and not blame them. We are around that person. We are the one who took the steps. And once I recognized that, it's like, oh, hurry up and put everything back where it belonged. But it was like I could have destroyed my own business. I wouldn't have gotten to the 50 books I have in 4 years. I wouldn't have gotten the awards I've gotten because I would have held back and just quit everything. So yeah, we really need to look at that. So don't do what I did, you know? Except get back there and get in it. Keep going. Um, because it is tough. It is tough when it's someone close to you that you care deeply about, and it's like, why won't they support me? And part of it is maybe they're a little bit afraid that you're going to be, I don't want to say higher than them, but you're going to achieve the things you want, and they still haven't achieved the things they want. So there might be a little ego at play there. Um, but you do have to be tender with them. I mean, if you're just harsh and mean, that's going to come back to you. That energy you put out does come back. But you also have to recognize that, yeah, give me those five good people around me, so I don't self-sabotage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things, like we're skirting around the idea of self-worth. We really are. The discussions we're having are just, just checkbox
Right?
low self-worth. It's all low self-worth. So if self-belief is self-efficacy. It's what we believe we're capable of achieving externally. So typically people on these kind of journeys, they have high self-belief. They believe they can do something, achieve something with enough time, energy, and effort. They can make something happen. They can make their goals come to life, their dreams come true. Low self-worth is a whole other ball game. It's what we believe we're worthy of. It's the people we allow to speak into our lives. It's low boundaries. It's comparison at an unhealthy level. That's where we're going to see that self-sabotage come in. And so building self-worth for those people who have really high self-belief is really, really important because that's your standards, that's your filter, that is your let's say if self-belief is a garden that you build, you've built this beautiful garden with enough time, energy, and effort. You've built this incredible garden because you have high self-belief. Self-worth is who gets to benefit from that garden. Self-worth is what weeds are you taking out because it is not for the garden that you want to have. And then consistency comes into play. Consistency is so important paired with self-belief and self-worth. Consistency in this analogy is how often are you watering that garden? Are you watering it and nurturing it and weeding it and taking care of it every day? Now, if you have low self-belief, you might not build the garden in the first place, or your garden is never going to expand and grow outside of the cap that you're talking about. That cap, that natural cap that we all have within us somewhere, if we don't build and grow and expand that consciously, then we're going to find our cap at some point. So with low self-belief, you're either not going to build the garden in the first place or you're not going to expand it and build upon it and create more. Low self-worth is, yeah, who's coming in, who's benefiting, who
Yeah.
gets to reap the benefits of that, who gets to come in and enjoy. And so self-worth is self-respect. It is your self-esteem. And it can be built. We're not just born with a certain amount of self-belief and a certain amount of self-worth.
Right.
We build these things or have these things stripped from us through experience, through life. And when we can start bringing that again consciously, we can build more self-belief. We can build more self-worth. Self-worth is learning to keep the promises you make to yourself. That's the foundation of self-worth. Start
There you
showing
go.
yourself you're worthy of showing up for you. It's boundaries. It's boundaries with yourself, but especially with others. You gave a story just now where it was kind of you against you in that moment. Even though someone else was the catalyst, you made the choice to
Hmm.
do what they said or to act on what they said and allow that to speak into your life. A boundary for yourself there would have been like, you know what? I can appreciate what you have to say, but I'm going to choose to do something different or to keep going. Boundaries, people are doing them wrong all the time. They're trying to set rules and control other people. Well, you can't do that. You can't say
Right.
that. Yes, they can. They can. A real boundary is if you choose to keep stomping on my dreams this way, if you choose to keep speaking against my goal, I'm going to have to stop talking to you about it, and I will. Or I'm going to have to start spending less time with you. You
Absolutely.
only have full control over yourself. We can influence others, we can influence our environment, but the only thing we really have control over is ourselves, our actions, our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions, those kind of things. And when you can embody that and understand that, you're going to start setting firmer and accurate boundaries. So
There you
boundaries
go.
is a big one. Social courage is another one for self-worth, learning to be your authentic self and what that looks like, how to show up in a room without inflating or dimming yourself based on the environment, laughing when you genuinely think something is funny and not laughing when you don't think it's funny. It's you showing up as your authentic self. That takes a lot of self-worth for us to not do the social dance of either dimming and appeasing or inflating and trying to make yourself feel like you're somebody. That's a big one, social courage. The next is investing in yourself. The more you invest in yourself, the more self-worth you're going to have. And people hear that and they say, well, I don't have the money to go and do these big retreats. And that's fine. You don't have to. Investing in yourself looks like something small every day. It looks
Yeah.
like listening to this podcast because you can. There's so much free value in the world that you can invest into yourself with. You can go get books from the library. There's just so much you can do. It looks like even self-care during the day. It looks like a certain, for me, it's always my cup of tea. Like, what mug am I going to use? What tea am I drinking today? That's my little moment, my little ritual for myself. And I learn. I listen to podcasts every day. I read every day. There's things that I do that I invest in myself every day. Now, it's amazing when you can go do those big extra things. If you can do that, go
Right.
do them. But it compounds every day. So, what are you doing for yourself to invest in yourself every day? And then, one that you mentioned earlier, the kind of tip of the iceberg of self-worth is comparison.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. Are you comparing to a detriment or are you comparing for inspiration? Because we can absolutely look at someone ahead of us and be like, oh, if they can do it, I can find my own unique way of doing it too. But when we're
Yeah.
comparing, we always want to compare apples to apples. We don't want to compare apples to cucumbers. We want to be, okay, this person has a similar lifestyle as me, similar beliefs, similar goals. It's not fair for me to, let's say, compare my fitness journey as a stay-at-home homeschooling mom who lives out in the country and loves to do home workouts to a young woman in her 20s who doesn't have kids yet, anyone else pulling at her time and has a gym in her building.
Oh,
Those are
yeah.
very different. I shouldn't be comparing. I should be looking at someone who is also, let's say, pushing 40 and loves home workouts and she is crushing it. That is someone I can be inspired by because it's a similar apples to apples comparison that I can use for inspiration. And so if these are things that you can start working on, even of those five, which one is your worst? Mine was social courage. I can invest in myself all day. I'm very good at doing that, but I had very low social courage, very low boundaries. So those were the two I had to work on first. So of those, which one really kind of hit you in the chest, listener?
Right.
And can you start working on first to start building your self-worth?
Yeah, and I love that you said, just doing a little bit every day reminded me of the 1% rule, which I have it in my 35-day journal. I've got it at the bottom of because it's so important to know that if you improve yourself in just one part of your life, 1% every single day, that's a 365% increase in the year. Now, if you look at that compounded, that's 3,700% increase. Can you imagine? I mean, either one of those is just fantastic. Just 1%, one thing, one little thing that you work on. And and what a difference. Maybe the one thing you have is put a little sticker on your laptop, put smile, just so you smile every day. A lot of us are so busy doing everything, we forget to smile. And putting that smile on your face actually starts increasing your endorphins and it makes you happy. They talk about laugh yoga. And I thought, what in the world is laugh yoga? It was the strangest thing I'd ever heard. And it's just start laughing. Just give yourself a good belly laugh and you'll be surprised how much better you feel. And it's like, wow, that's surprising. Just give it a try.
Mhm. And the secret to that is every day. You don't get that
Everything.
365% if you take days off. And
Yeah.
people don't like to hear that very much, but 1% is not very much. 1% is a podcast. It's a few pages in a book. It's an extra couple minutes on your skincare or in the shower because you feel you need it. It's like
It's
you said, having that
14
laugh.
minutes out of a day. Set something,
Yeah.
set a calendar, a timer. 14 minutes. What can I do in 14 minutes? Or two 7 minute,
Hmm.
there's 7 minute exercises. Why do we procrastinate for a 7 minute exercise? But I,
Hmm.
I agree with you. Yes, very little things we can do that do improve
Yes.
us.
Mhm. And compound over time. And if you do that year over year, it's not just 365 every year. It compounds into more. And if you do that for 3 years, 5 years, a decade, the compounding numbers are insane.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
amazing to think of.
phenomenal.
And so, again, giving yourself the gift of consistency over time.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about this company you work with, because you not only work on the internal, which is so important, but once you've got that internal down, then what's the next step? Where do we go from there?
Yeah, it depends on the person, right? It depends on what they want to do and what they want to achieve. We're all about reverse engineering goals, right? What is that endpoint that you're looking for? Knowing that at some point it is going to expand and grow. We never actually get there. I think we attract a lot of growth-oriented and growth-minded people. So
Yes.
even once they get that certain goal, it's more of a milestone that they get to expand on moving forward. And so we attract a lot of actually high self-belief and low self-worth people. So we do a lot of the internal work for the people who have these incredible goals and then help them get there through reverse engineering the goal and habit tracking. Because again, that compound effect, even 0.1% compounded over time is massive. And so we're big on habit tracking. What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? And how do we break it down into an action that you can take every day and check off every day? Doing
Yeah.
those little check-offs every day builds
Feels
self-belief and
so
builds
good. Oh,
self-worth.
yeah.
It gives you that dopamine hit. You get a streak going. That's another little neuro hack. But we're all about habit tracking. And so, Next Level University, as much as we believe in holistic success, we have kind of three main through lines. We have our high level business people and people who are looking to also build businesses from the ground up. Again, there's no rules and restrictions there, but Alan, our CEO, he is a business major and a computer engineer and just the genius behind so many of our incredible frameworks and a lot of the things that we do and the reason our business does what it does and the reason we all habit track and are in Google Sheets all the time. That's Alan. So he's our business coach and he has incredible clients doing incredible things in the world, and that's his biggest through line. And then we have Kevin. Kevin is our Mr. Podcast. He runs the podcast production team, and we do a lot of work with podcasters. So the business itself, Next Level University, was built off of a podcast. They started, these two guys, Kevin and Alan, started a once a week that is now a everyday podcast. It's
Wow.
7 days a week. It's amazing and everything built out from this podcast. But now there's the production studio, and we work with a lot of podcasters in coaching and things. Our group coaching program right now is a podcast accelerator program. And even in the group coaching for podcasters, the first 4 weeks are dedicated to growing yourself. It's a 12-week program,
Mhm.
and we teach them all the foundation and the internal stuff first. So it's the first
Nice.
4 weeks is grow yourself. Next 4 weeks are grow your podcast and all of the ins and outs and nuances and things there. And then we finish Heavy Allen at the end where it's grow your business for the last 4 weeks.
Oh,
And so we
nice.
break it down into those sections for them, but we do grow yourself first. That foundational work of where are you showing low self-belief or low self-worth, or what is your core wound and how is it driving you? Where is it serving you and where is it not? And how can you stop letting it, drive unconsciously and you kind of take the reins a little bit and understand more about that. And so it's a really wonderful thing that we do. And it's one of my favorite things because it's something that the three of us get to do together. You get Kevin, Allen, and
Oh,
myself in
nice.
that program for 12 weeks. Oh, it's my favorite. And that's, the work that we do. We believe in personal development and success and how well they go together. And we're in one of those two or both because they both go together all the time, everything that we
Yes.
do.
It
Mhm.
reminds me of uh, if you can imagine this, and this is something I learned from a math tutor that was helping our granddaughter, and you have your bricks, but you're going to notice that some of the bricks are missing in there. Now, in math, because you're not up to where you need to be, it doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you're missing those bricks. So you go through, and sounds like what you're doing. So we're going to see what are the missing bricks. What can you put in there to build that strong wall, which ends up being a really strong foundation for your future and for everything that you're doing. So it's a strong foundation for your business, every aspect that you do, whether, like me, podcasting or writing books or coaching clients or speaking at events. Um, they all work together, but is there something missing along the way that could really help build you up and make you more powerful?
Yes, exactly. That solid foundation. So many of us are building on a very rickety foundation, and it does crumble at some point. And so
Yeah,
if
we
you can
don't even realize
start,
it.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, and so if you can start building that solid foundation and reinforcing it as you go, yeah, you have a way higher chance of winning in the way that you want to win.
yeah. So, if you're just building your business, absolutely get a hold of Amy right away. If you've been building your business, you're not quite where you want to. Maybe you've been working so hard at it and something just isn't there. Get a hold of Amy again. Let him see where you're at. See what's missing out of that little brick. And if you want to go even further and have more impact and have a stronger business than what you have, get a hold of Amy again. So, how do they get a hold of you?
I am a simple creature. Thank you so much for saying that, by the way. I am a simple creature. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. It's just at Amy Lenius. And if you private message me there, you do get me. You don't get an AI, you don't get an assistant, you get me because we deeply believe right now that human interaction is the most important commodity. And it's only
Yes.
going to get more important as we go, as technology builds. And so we deeply believe in human connection. And so you can message me anytime, ask a question. And even my first call is always free.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Amy, so much for being here. This was such a great conversation on the porch. And thank you, our audience, for pulling up a chair and sitting here with us. We've always got an empty chair here for you to fill up. And we'll see you next time on Wisdom on the Front Porch.
Thank you, my Front Porch friends and neighbors, for pulling up a chair with me and my guest today on Wisdom on the Front Porch. Now, if you've got value from this conversation, would you do me a favor? Leave a quick review, then share it with someone you know who could use some inspiration. It helps more friends find their seat on the porch. And hey, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss what's next. Until then, keep the porch light on for new wisdom every time you show up. Your seat's always here for you on the porch.